You didn't hear me when I was sick and in the hospital and I'm working myself to the bone and I'm crying and my labs are coming back with all of these different things going on with my health, and my dentist is pointing out indicators in my body that she notices that I'm stressed. I'm not eating. I'm not sleeping. So you didn't notice then. So if you want to make this about this, then
we're gonna make it about this.
I hate to say it. Okay, I'm gonna speak to the ladies.
Talk to the camera right there.
We always do it better, worse than they do. You guys have no idea how like vindictive, like a woman, like
we know. I've been on the receiving end of that.
Done, and you don't hear it. It took me to a place I didn't even know that I could go to. And I done been through some stuff with him, and I never even went there.
I never imagined my public healing would inspire others to heal across the world.
I thank you for using him to reach the world with a message of hope in relationships.
But your life does not.
God, you are my publicist. We laughed. We shared the unadulterated truth.
He said, not only have I not divorced you, I ain't exposed you.
Oh! We didn't marry fans, we married forever. And we wanted forever to act like a fan.
Reveal her, Jesus.
I will not compromise on getting a woman of God.
You don't have to.
And Father, I declare for his future wifey, thank you for preserving her.
This season, I declare miracles and manifestations.
See you selling scripts.
And you're unique. You ain't like nobody else. I noticed that right away. You being true to who you are, you're going to attract. It's a Hebrew word, hayil, and it was translated wealth. And it means people, it means men, it means resources, and it means means.
I'm Lateris R. Whitfield, and this is the Dear Future Wifey podcast.
Welcome to the Dear Future Wifey podcast. I'm your host, Lateris R. Whitfield. Listen, we have just celebrated 3 years on the Dear Future Wifey podcast on April the 15th. Are you still shacking up with us? Come on. If you're still shacking up with us, come on. Can we get a commitment? Hit that subscription button and subscribe. Make sure you turn on your notification bell so you'll be notified about upcoming episodes. And listen, shout out to all of you who listen to us on the audio platforms. Shout out to y'all, those of y'all who listen on Apple Podcasts. You are helping us consistently rank in the top 10 in the United States, and we're number 1 in about 20 countries. Man, I just can't thank y'all enough for that. Continue to share, spread the word, leave reviews. That's what helps us keep building, and the analytics on Apple Podcasts is by you leaving a review on Apple Podcasts. If you listen to us on Spotify and the other platforms, do the same if they allow you to. Well, you know, this episode is extremely special. You'll see why. I mean, this is the epitome of what the Dear Future Wifey podcast is all about. So without further ado, welcome to the Dear Future Wifey podcast. My new homies, Rahsaan and Erica Grier. How y'all doing?
Doing well.
Oh, wow.
Y'all in here now?
We here. No.
Now listen, y'all asked to be here.
We did.
What happened?
We did.
How did y'all end up on the infamous yellow couch?
Ooh. Okay, so we attended our church service in which it was Good Friday, and we had a special edition, a live Dear Future Wifey podcast. And it was there for singles, and we're not single, but we had to come.
Y'all crashed the event.
We did.
Y'all couldn't follow instructions.
We don't follow the rules.
Not at all.
It was supposed to be for singles. What are y'all married folks doing at the live taping of the
Bachelor party?
We had to be in. We needed to see you.
Oh man, that just warmed my heart.
We needed to see you.
So I'm gonna show people what happened at that event and how you guys came up to the mic during the Q&A. Let's take a look at this.
Awesome. Your podcast saved our marriage.
Wow.
Oh, yes! Okay! Yes! Hallelujah! Yes! Amen! Wow! Not you doing God's work.
Wow.
Oh my God!
So my question is, how do we become guests on your show?
You just did.
Yeah!
You just did. So let me tell you something.
Yeah!
Future Wifey podcast.
Welcome to Dear Future.
You're the next
I'm gonna get your information, and I'm gonna have y'all come in the next 2 weeks because.
On the next Dear Future Wifey
I'm texting it to Oh him my right God, now. this is so
I'm
beautiful.
telling you, I'm gonna have y'all come on because one of the things that I said, God, if you can transform my pain into purpose, then I understand that what this whole mission of Dear Future Wifey was about. And I said that if I could get other people to learn before the bottom falls out of it, then I know I'm fulfilling your will, God. Because I love love. I believe in marriage. And so you guys are the epitome of what the Dear Future Wifey podcast represents. And so I will be honored to have y'all on the Dear Future Wifey podcast. So, yeah, I would be honored. I would be honored. So what made y'all decide? So Rahsaan, you led the charge and you came and you spoke about the need or the availability of men coaching or mentorship or programs that help speak to men. Why was that important for you?
It was really important because, number one, as I looked around, first and foremost for myself, as we were going through our challenges through our marriage, this podcast was shared with us. And it was something that really spoke to me because there was no one speaking of these topics that we really needed. And as we were there in the church that evening, I looked around and the women were dominating that event itself. And the few men that had the courage to show up for the event, we were taking in information. But even with men, I'm sure you all will agree, we still would be closed off if it's not just us there.
Right.
And so we need to have some kind of event where it's just us, so we can open up in a safe environment to talk about those tough topics that we can't get out.
And then y'all asked, can we come on the Dear Future Wifey podcast? Why, Erica?
So let me say, we didn't have a question when we got up.
Again, not following instructions. It was a Q&A. I said, I want y'all to ask a question. Questions are led by who, what, when, where, how, and why.
So I felt, I'm being obedient. This is my obedient season.
Yeah.
God says, ask for what you want.
There it is.
And I told him, I said, we have to get up because I needed to tell you personally, there was no way that we would be here if it were not for your podcast.
Yeah.
And that's all I wanted to say. And being in a room full of singles, to show them, and it's no surprise to me that all women, majority women were there because women value marriage, and it's promoted to us. And that's a kind of like an epitome of success in your life, marriage. And so I needed to say, it's not pretty. It's not, the razzle dazzle all of the time. Your podcast is a tool that we have that helped save us and
How?
And
Please,
keep us.
please help me understand. I'm gonna try to hold back from breaking down.
We've been through a lot. Thank God for Jesus that we've gotten through it. Last year particularly was a very low season for me. Almost redefining or relearning who I am. I told him there was an analogy that I came to where I felt like I kept sending smoke signals to him throughout the years. And I had burnt down the last tree. There's nothing left for me to burn to send a signal. So I'm done. And I am a very transparent woman. God bless me to, in my field, cosmetology, I come in contact with a lot of women. And so I hear stories. It's a safe space. We're intimate. We talk. Women talk. So I began to share with some of my clients where we were. And I was out. I was done looking up divorce and what I needed to do in order to do that and finalize everything. And I have a client. Her name is Takaya. Hey, boo.
Shout out to Kai.
Shout out to Takaya. I was driving to an event and she texted me and it was your episode with Mr. David Burris. So prior to that, whenever I would share with someone, I'm leaving Rahsaan. The initial response from women is, well, all men this, or at least he that. Almost as if we encourage one another that good enough is just
Good enough.
good enough, right? And it made me question, there's a desire in my heart to be loved the way that God loves us. I know it exists, and it's there to be able to communicate and be heard and not feel like I am asking for too much. So when I heard a man speak about the role of a husband, how he is to show up, how God ordains him to hold the house together, to speak over his wife. And what really got me was that he said it was year 17 in his marriage. So it was
exactly
year
where y'all
17 for
was.
us.
Yep.
It was exactly where we were. I had been telling him, expressing to him over the years what I need, my capacity. I'm like an ocean. And I need you to explore that. I need to know that I'm important enough to study me the way that you study business. The way
Hold on. Woo. She said, I am an ocean.
I'm an ocean.
I need you to explore me. I want you to deep dive into my soul, into my mind, into my heart. And the beautiful thing about an ocean that there's so many mysteries left to unfold. So I love the fact that you paralleled yourself to an ocean.
Yeah.
Did you use that exact language with him to say that you were in the ocean?
I did.
What did you think about that,
I did.
Rahsaan?
I was real surface with it. I really was. I didn't understand. Here's the thing. They always say when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I wasn't ready. And so it just fell on just a surface level for me.
That's good. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm
and
sorry.
that's
Continue.
honest.
Continue what you were saying.
He's very real. So that's and me not wanting to seem ungrateful. Because again, I had a good husband. He's a good man. It wasn't anything for me to come home and that the romance that many women yearn for. He's given me surprise events. I've come home to cars. And I just reached a point in my life.
C-A-R-D?
C-A-R-S, cars.
Not cards,
vehicles.
but cars.
Vehicles.
Okay.
However, there wasn't ever much discussion about, well, what car do you want? What's your dream car? So I've learned over the years how I have continued to bend and twist and fit myself into the idea and the vision and the picture of what he had for successful marriage, successful life. My wife is happy. And I was happy. I'm grateful. But I struggled with, but there's more. There has to be more because I feel it. I'm not fulfilled. I'm dying. Like I felt like I was dying in order to be in our marriage. And so when I heard Mr. Burris say, that God kind of got him together all of the way and that his wife expressed the exact same concerns to him, I said, I'm not crazy.
Yep.
It is possible. And maybe he will hear it now because another man is finally speaking. And that's something that we lack in our community. We're taught, keep your business to yourself.
Yep.
If you can put on a mask, and he had mastered that.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even know how he truly felt sometimes because he wouldn't let me in. And so I sent it to him. Within the first 3 minutes of the episode, I'm in tears. I had to pull over. I was on 285 and I had to pull over. And I just said, okay, God, I hear you. Because another man is saying what you desire. You're not too far off of, it's there. And I just said, okay, I'm going to see this through. I'm going to watch it. And the hope that was expressed at the end of that podcast, something happened because I was gone, Lateris. Like I was gone.
When you say gone, put reference around it. You was gone like what?
Put a reference around it.
Gone like talking to somebody else gone.
Gone like a few months prior to that, he made a statement And I felt everything that I had ever felt just leave. And I couldn't see past that moment. And that had never happened.
What statement? Unpack it.
He said...
What'd you say? I want to
So
hear
this
it
is
in real
on our
time.
anniversary. This is on our anniversary.
Hold on. Rahsaan, what'd you say to her?
What'd you say?
Okay, I gotta give context behind it before I say the statement itself. Okay, so you gotta. Okay, so she mentioned cars. Okay, so for our anniversary, I took her to New York. Okay, we had a beautiful anniversary up there. My intent for doing that was to purchase a vehicle for her.
Oh.
And so me thinking I'm doing something great, not consulting with her with the vehicle she would like to have, is what I thought I wanted to see her in. And we get there to the dealership. Now, I have to put this out there also. I'm a Corvette enthusiast. And so anybody that knows about the Corvettes, you guys know that for the Z06, it's a 3-year waiting list right now for it, and it's all about timing, right? And so I've been planning for that purchase as well, and also doing a purchase for her. When we got to the dealership, I'm a big researcher. So I researched the vehicle, ran my analytics on it and everything. I knew what the price should be and what I could pay for it and so on and so forth. So we get to the dealership. Prior to going up there, I talked to the salesperson and confirmed the price that was listed was the in fact price.
Yeah.
We get there, do the test drive, everything is great, and they changed the price on us as we're sitting there. And literally tacked on an extra $5,000.
Really?
Literally.
I don't
and
know.
So, I remember. I know.
He said he's been doing his research.
Yeah, I have. And so what was interesting about it was they brought the sales manager out to have him justify why it was. And he tried to tell me, well, it's because they had to do some reconditioning and put new tires on. I said, okay, well, show me your sales receipts.
You didn't ask for a sales receipt?
I did. And they couldn't provide any documentation for it. And so I felt like he was trying to take advantage of me at that moment just to kind of get as much out of me as he could. And he was like, well, just do this, just do that. You can do that. And I told him, well, I wanted it to be in her name so we can rebuild her credit and everything. And he wanted it to go in my name. And I mentioned to him that I can't put it in my name because I'm planning for my Z06 Corvette, right? And he kept pushing. And it got to the point where I made a statement. I smacked my hand on the table and I said, nothing is going to stop me from getting this Corvette. That statement broke her. And in that moment, I didn't see it though. In that moment, it was just man against man and me checking him to stop coming after me. It wasn't until after we left and we're on our way back to the hotel.
She internalized it.
What I heard was, I am not letting anything, the nothing is my wife. So I'm not even going to allow her need to get in the way of my want.
I'm not going to allow her need to get in the way of my want.
Because it wasn't about the car.
Was that the vehicle you were looking at when you said he hadn't asked what vehicle you wanted?
Well, that took a lot to get there as well, because he kept showing me other vehicles, and I'm just like, at this point, it's not about the vehicle. You're not hearing me. You're not listening. And he was just clouded. You know, he wanted his car. He wanted his extracurricular activities.
What extracurricular activity? You can't just throw stuff out there.
The boys' club. Okay.
What's the boys' club? Hold on, I gotta understand this. Rahsaan, what you talking about?
I was in the process of becoming a Mason.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's great. That's great. I had a need. I was in the process of going back into a field that I loved, that made me who I am. And all of those things, it was triggering because it felt like it was getting in the way, and his stuff was more important.
So the field you're referring to is a hairstylist.
It's a hairstylist.
And you were going back into that.
Mm-hmm.
He took on this new organization, becoming a Mason, and you felt like that was another thing that took priority.
Another thing. Another
So it all
thing.
crashed and burned on a
It
car.
crashed and burned.
And he's thinking it has something to do with a car, but the weight is on so many other things.
The weight is on so many other things. And again, I had communicated these things to him. So as he stated before, he was very surface. He heard it, kind of heard it, didn't really hear it. So in that moment, I lied to you not. I said, this is not my husband. And because my husband would never.
And when you say that's not my husband, are you saying he's not acting like your husband, or Rahsaan is not my husband?
It could have been both. I'm keeping. It could have been both. I know.
You saying the person God has for me would not treat me this way?
Here, yes, would not sit here, and it was selfish to me, and I had enough of selfish. I had, and this may, sound, again, this is why I struggled with this, because asking for what I really want instead of, saying yes when I really want to say no, agreeing to support when I'm like, can we wait just a little longer before we do that? And so here's this opportunity. You brought me all of the way to New York. You planned this weekend as a way of kind of reconciling, because we weren't speaking to each other, I think, for like 2 weeks or so. Mm-hmm. It was dead silent. And I've vowed to never do that. Mm-hmm. And then I had gotten to that point where I was like, I can't even talk to him because he's not hearing me. He's not listening. And when I sat at the table and he said, I don't think you understand. This is what he says to me. I don't think you understand. I'm not letting anything get in the way of me getting my car. So I said, okay, this ain't my husband. So God, where he at?
And so he said that you started entertaining another guy?
Down the line.
How far between that statement and?
I want to say like 6 or 8 weeks.
So at that moment, you just checked out. That point, it's like, it's done.
I checked out, and I didn't know what it was. Because women talk about it, right?
Yeah.
It's this.
They say when a woman's fed up.
It's been this land, right? this mythological place that women arrive, and I didn't know that it really existed.
Let me ask you this. Did you know that she had checked out?
No.
At all?
No.
So 2 weeks leading up to the event, y'all weren't communicating. Y'all go to this event. You want to do something great for her. She felt whatever shifted. Did you leave with the car?
I did.
All right, so you left with the car. Did you think at all, were you like, oh, this is a great thing, she seems happy about it, or what? What were you feeling from a man's standpoint?
Lateris, I lied to you not. Had you asked me that question that day, I would have thought I was the world's greatest husband.
By the way she treated you?
By the standard of how men perceive how we're supposed to treat women.
Yes.
The bills were paid. I provided a lifestyle. I'm here every night. I'm not out partying. I'm there for our kids. I'm at the baseball games. I'm at the basketball games. I'm there for everything. I'm present. And I was physically there, but not mentally there.
Or emotionally.
There.
Yeah, or emotionally.
Hold on, let me ask you this. Why you feel like you wasn't there emotionally?
Because I was, once again, going by society's standards, but not really tapping into what she was asking me for.
But did you know that, though?
Not at that time.
That's what I'm saying. At that time, did you feel like you were emotionally checked out, or did you feel like you were emotionally present?
I felt like I was there, but I also had some things that I was wrestling with in regards to things that I thought she should have been doing or could have been doing, but wasn't doing.
So y'all both are not communicating. She's communicating her needs. Were you communicating what you wanted from her in that moment?
Not at that moment, but a couple of weeks prior when it started off with us not talking, I told her I couldn't do the next 5 years within the last 10.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, he came to that, this isn't gonna work moving forward like this.
So in this place, when a woman checks out, you didn't know when it happened, but you arrived at this place. What made you decide to seek outside attention?
I didn't seek it.
It came to you.
It came to me.
Oh, yeah, it's gonna come to you.
I'm gonna tell you how. Let me tell you. Let me tell you how. Because one of my best friends, she worded this so eloquently. She said, "The type of woman that I am." For the kingdom, I love the Lord. I love his people. I am a very forgiving person. She said, he had to bring the Top Guns, like the high arsenal, because any random, and not to sound arrogant, I guess, if that's the right word, but I'm an attractive woman. I hear it all the time. Men compliment me. And I promise you, it goes in one ear, out. It don't even go in the ear. It's just, I don't even see people.
Yeah.
I just, I don't know, they look like trees or something. I don't see them. But this man stopped me and he spoke to me. And I wasn't like this. I had run some errands with my daughters. I was in my glasses, my natural curly hair, it was just raw Erica. And he stopped me. And even then I didn't entertain anything. However, I realized and recognized when I left that something was
planted.
And I was like, you know what? Anytime a stranger can come up to me and say to me, like, I see you, speak to my dreams, and verbatim, your husband is holding you back.
He said that?
Yes.
So what you think? You thought that was prophetic?
No.
You thought that was an attack from the enemy?
I didn't think it either way. I just
so
thought
in your
that,
mind, so someone speaks directly to the core of you. He says that your husband is holding you back, which is essentially saying you shouldn't be married to him. You either thought that was God speaking to you or the devil speaking to you.
So I kind of stood still because I was like, I don't know which one this is, because I'm gonna tell you, I'm being honest. I know it could have been either one. I'll keep it real. Could have been either one, even though I know it wasn't God, because God ain't gonna send nobody to kind of like break up. He ain't gonna do that. He's not gonna do that. However, there were things that were said that I didn't even share with him. It was just in my heart, just desires of ambition, career things that I wanted to do.
And this is random strangers. You at work. Where were you at when you ran into this
I was in a supermarket.
And he just walked up to you, you pushing your basket, and he just walked up to you and said, I see you. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Did he give you your phone number then? Or how'd y'all connect?
No.
He just walked off, vanished in the sky.
Then he came back around and he said, I noticed you didn't have a ring on, because I didn't have my ring on.
You took it off.
And
where was your ring at, Erica?
My ring was home.
It was at home, huh, Erica?
It was my ring was home. But I had told him that day that I realized I didn't have it on. So it wasn't like an intentional thing or anything.
It was just conveniently.
It was just conveniently not on my finger.
And then he just conveniently walked up to you and spoke a word into your life.
Listen, from the pits of hell, okay? And so a couple days later.
So he walked up and said, I noticed you don't have a ring on. Then
how come you don't have your ring on? And I told him, I forgot it, right? Left it at that. Asked me what I did. And I told him I'm a hairstylist. He told me what he did. And I was like, oh, well, this is really, really random. Like, because it's not every day that you run into people from the profession that he was in. And so I moved on. A couple days later, he inboxed me, and that's where, and I just gave him my number. Because again, I was just like,
you checked out.
Whatever. I'm saving money at this point. I'm looking at apartments, and I'm getting a divorce because I'm not going to have an affair. I'm not going to, I couldn't see us. I couldn't even see the next year. And that was really painful for me. I felt like I was, it was dying. Everything
and mind
was
you,
just...
y'all had 4 kids together.
Yeah.
You had made up in your mind, I'm done.
Yeah.
Whatever happened at that dealership broke something in you. It was the last straw. We'll go back and unpack stuff that you had experienced early on in the marriage. And so you said, this is the last straw. It's done. I'm setting up my next chapter.
Yeah.
I was doing a national play one time, and I had Clifton Powell, he played Pinky.
Yeah.
And he said, my wife left me years before, because it was a picture. He said, I'll go, and I'm looking at this picture of us on the red carpet. He's talking about, and we sit up here smiling, taking pictures. My wife had left me a year and a half before that moment. In her head, like a woman will leave you and you won't even know. She'll sit there, still be cooking food for you, still doing whatever you're doing, working on that exit strategy. And that's why it's so painful for men, because when a man experiences that, I've talked to several people who they have come home and everything is gone. The woman done moved out, everything. He's like, what happened?
Blindsided.
Yeah.
See nothing.
But you say blindsided.
Well, I mean, he can go back and recount things or whatever, but a man typically men don't leave like that. Men ain't gonna just come home and it's those stories where men just gone. They never come home, whatever. But normally when a man does that, he just don't come home. He'll just start his life over with, have to go buy new stuff or whatever. A woman will set her next life up. Like she has planned it, because women are planned strategically, took out X amount of money out the bank account, then got a whole nother promotion, then did all the stuff you don't even know, then took the furniture, did all this, and next thing you know, she got a whole place set up. I just talked one of my homegirls off the ledge last week. Thank you, Holy Spirit, for bringing this to my knowledge. This girl had planned overnight, after finding out something from her husband, planned overnight. She done went and found her new apartment in a whole nother city, went and bought all the furniture for it, and was moving out the next day. He was at work. She had packed up all the stuff, and she had reached out to me, and I hit up. I said, what's going on? She's like, oh, it's over. It's done. I'm moving. Oh, hold on. What? You're moving too fast. Stop. You're moving too fast. She done found her whole apartment. Yeah. Then planned what book she was gonna read by the pool the next day. Yeah. Wow. I said, what? Slow down. Yeah. Wow. And so the thing about it is that's what's so painful for men. And now, of course, he's sitting up here saying, was it really that bad that you were gonna just leave like that? And yeah, it's just very painful. And we're gonna come back on all that. Because that's just a lot in and of itself.
Look,
it's a lot, but I understand it. It's a lot. And y'all 17 years in, y'all have known each other and dated each other since y'all were 15.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
15 years old. Y'all have known each other for how many years at that time? Since last year? Because I don't know how old y'all are.
25, 26.
26 years of knowing each other.
Yeah.
Knowing each other's heart, knowing each other's motives, knowing each other. And you said, yeah, this has come to an end. It's time for me to go. And so you started planning your exit strategy, and then what? What happened?
I saw the podcast. But
and you have been talking to said individual.
But listen, not a lot, because I didn't want it to be about that either. Like, I didn't want.
What's a lot? Because we got to quantify a lot.
I had
people talking about a lot. They talk to me every day. Talking about a lot.
Nope. 3 conversations.
It's only been 3 conversations.
Only 3.
Was it just on the phone, or you met up with them?
Twice on the phone, and once I met up.
Yeah. And you talking about, and that's outside the first time you met.
When I met up, it was in my car, and he was in his car.
Y'all was talking through the window.
Lot in the daylight. Yeah, because it was just like, yeah. What is it? What you saying? Like, what you really talking? And then we had 2 conversations on the phone, and they were like 2 weeks apart, I think, because he pulled my phone records. So that's why I'm asking him, because he know the dates.
I know the details.
He pulled my phone records. And so when
how long the conversation was?
I sure did.
Yeah, because one was like, and that was the last one, and that was out of town. That was the last one. You know what?
You said what time was it?
I can sit right here, and
Rahsaan, how long was it?
99 minutes. 99 minutes at 6 a.m. on a Monday. As I was flying back in town from work.
Yeah.
That's what time it was.
Yeah. It was the morning.
And then what happened? So that happened. How did everything come to a head?
Well,
you saw the podcast. Did you send it to my boy?
I didn't see it yet. No. So he found out, and that was really, really ugly. It was really ugly. And so when you said about the emotional part, how didn't you know that you were not emotional? Because all the emotions came out.
Yeah.
All of them. And
from who? You or him?
From him. And it was alarming to me where I was just like, yeah, this is bigger than us. He had made a social media post the next day, and it set my phone on fire.
Uh-oh, what'd you say?
Let's give a little bit of context here.
You
just can't just go straight into
No, that's what happened. That's what happened. We had a conversation, and I denied. I'll say that I denied because again,
You denied what,
I
ever?
denied this person's existence.
But he saw the phone record.
He did.
So
but
what you
here's
saying
the
was?
thing.
She knew
This
I
is
saw
what
the
knew-
phone
record.
Because
before he saw it.
listen, I have been telling him for months, there is fire. We are in danger. You know we're in danger if I'm saying there might be another woman for you. I might not be the one. After 20-something
you said
years,
that to him,
I
you said maybe.
said this to him. After 20-something years, and we're still trying to find a rhythm.
Let me ask you this. What you hear when she said there may be a different woman for you?
How did I say it? I said, I might not, maybe it's me, because the Bible says, right, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. So I'm looking over the course of our life, and yes, there are going to be some rainy days. There's going to be some hardships. But some of the stuff is just like, I have been speaking to this man. I've been praying. I've been obedient. I have sacrificed. I have put blood, sweat, and tears. If he needed me to stand over there, I'm going to stand over there, and I'm going to stand well, and I'm going to do it. And so I'm trying to figure out, like, well, maybe it's me.
That's good. Hold on, Rahsaan. What you hear when she said that?
Maybe it's somebody else. And for me, I didn't think initially that it was anything wrong with me. I thought maybe it really was somebody out there that might be better suited for me. Because they always say, when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing.
So in that mind, when she told you that, did you start looking elsewhere?
I didn't.
Because
Why not?
he been there.
I know he'd have been there. We're gonna go back to that. We're gonna go back to that. You ain't gonna just throw my boy on the bus right now. You're gonna throw my boy on the bus right now. We're gonna go back there.
He threw me on a freeway.
No.
He threw me on the
I want to hear
It's a
this.
side street. It's not a freeway. Come on.
It was, if Dallas is anything like Atlanta, at 2 p.m. or 2 a.m.
It's
Gridlock. Okay, that's how he threw me out.
He threw you out there?
Yes.
All right, so I'm gonna ask you this. So she said it was somebody else, but you didn't go search for nobody else.
So what happened was I noticed that her posts on social media
And they
started
didn't.
being different to me.
No, they
To
didn't.
me.
You know what
To
it
me.
was? He started seeing me. See, because again, here's the thing. Routine, right? Oh, my wife posts something like, he wouldn't even read.
Is that true?
To a certain degree.
No, it is.
Because sometimes the posts be real long, and you be like, you know what? I'll give you the first 2-3 lines, get a gist of it all, and you know,
When we start suspecting something, start reading everything.
hold on, everyone. I'm looking at every person that liked it, common themes, and that's what did it. That's what did it. I started going through the photos, and I noticed the photos. Some of those photos were just
They were
they
not.
seemed
They
like they
were
were
not.
attention attractive.
They were
And
not.
so I started looking at the comments, and I looked at the people who were liking, and it's not unknown for her to get several hundred likes.
Yeah.
She's a beautiful woman, but I started noticing certain characters were common on every single one of them, and so
He was my
I
guy,
noticed
though.
it was one
You got to
person
be.
that just didn't feel right. The spirit was speaking to me at that moment.
Now, look. Now he hears the Holy Spirit.
Now here, the whole
Now-
time, for 17
now-
years he did.
17
He
years
don't come when you
did.
call. He come right on time. It's the on time go. Yes, he is. But listen, no. And so I started looking at that, and I didn't say anything. But I just started just observing, and then I went and looked at that person's social media, and I started noticing she was liking several things. I saw a
had
little heart
liked.
symbol
I had
on
liked.
the pictures.
I had liked.
And the straw that broke the camel's back said, okay, it's something here, is when I noticed her best friend liked
I didn't have
something
nothing to do with
On
that.
his page?
Yeah.
I didn't
so
know.
that means there have been some conversations between her and her best friend about this particular individual.
My boy good. My boy good.
was.
My
Man.
boy, he was supposed to work for the FBI.
Man.
He done missed his
So
calling.
here's the
man.
thing. Here's the thing.
He done missed his calling.
If I'm asking, if I'm asking for that level of attention,
Teach.
if I'm literally begging, I'm to the point where I'm begging. Notice me, talk to me, see me,
This is
Hear
good.
me. I know you're capable of it, but it came to a point where it felt like he wasn't willing. You just didn't want to at this point. Because I know you can, because you asked me if he noticed, right? Did you notice any change? You know why he didn't notice a change? Because his attention was on studying, getting the information for the Masons, right? And I asked him for years. I like him, and he's so fine. Listen.
Yeah, you was getting mom compliments when we sat down.
He's so fine, Laterrace. Like when I saw him, he was cute, and that's all I need to know about him. I didn't know if he could read, write, talk. I just said he is cute, and I'm dumb. Okay, because cute it'll have you dumb, and that's it. And so it was little things like you can go out and buy a new suit, right? We go out to dinner and I'll say, put the black suit on. It don't fit right anymore. I got to get a new one. And then 2 weeks later, the bros say, you got to have a new suit. And the day later, a brand new black suit is sitting in the closet. And
Let me say this. As y'all hear these accents, I want y'all to tell me where they from. Drop that in the comments. Where are they from? And we'll tell you at the end of the podcast. Where are they from? What city are they from?
What city are we from?
Yeah, and we'll tell you at the very end.
Listen.
A little fun little trivia. Here we go.
That was like offensive to me at some point. And so if you can do this at the first request, you get up, you find the money for it, you go do it. You got to be here at this time, you go do it. Our kids have made sacrifice. Like resentment was, what I tell you, resentment came and walked up on my shoulder and said, hey sis, hey girl. And we, I was like, hey boo. And we just started talking. And resentment just kind of got real big. And I'm expressing this to him, and I'm telling, and he's noticing. I will wake up crying. I go to sleep crying.
What were you thinking during that moment?
That she was just tired. I mean, really. I mean, it was really.
We all just tired.
Yeah,
we tired. She crying. She all right.
Keep in mind, this is coming out of the pandemic, also. So we all over the place, realistically and emotionally. So it wasn't uncommon.
But that's the thing, right?
She just tired.
We take on we're so much, right? And a woman will love you so much, even to the detriment of herself. And God didn't tell us love your husbands. He said what? Respect your husbands. He told husbands to love your wives. And so I'm loving him, trying to teach him how to love me, because his idea of love is cars and roses.
Being a provider, taking care of stuff.
And I'm just like, come on, And so I watch him, and you can do this, and you put effort into it. And I remember saying to him that night when it all came out, I never said anything because I didn't want it to rise and fall on this man. Like, he's just
he's just a byproduct of the real issue.
Yeah. But what happened is now I'm I thought my wife was just for me, but I find out that she's for somebody else.
He wrote that on Facebook?
He wrote that.
This was on a Saturday.
He was shattered.
I went to church on Sunday, and it just so happened the message that was preached that day. I felt like it was for me.
It was for him.
And so I was cleansing my spirit when I made that post, man. That's all it was. But in all honesty.
Rahsaan, what you say? You said what?
I was cleansing my spirit.
And what you write on the Facebook post?
I thought she was just for me.
But I found is this thing on?
I think my boy Rahsaan.
Is it on?
It's a testimony service.
Speaking to the mic.
I thought she was just for me, but I found out she isn't. The person who I thought was mine is no longer and with someone else. Something along those lines.
Something
You just put straight out there like this.
So
he was like.
But keep in mind, okay, so I thought I was cleansing, but there was a little bit of resentment behind that.
100%.
Because
it probably was some get back, right?
It was.
It probably was some, let me show y'all she
not perfect.
As perfect as,
and I ain't never portrayed myself to be perfect.
And we're going to come back to this because you never outed him. Here we go. Mm-hmm. So then what happened?
And so I put it on Facebook, and everybody started calling me and and texting me and everything, and I just needed to be away from everybody.
So you was ignoring the incoming calls?
For a good 24 hours.
So at that time, where was your heart at? It's done. It's over. She is cheating on me with another man. At that moment, did you feel like she already had sex with the guy? Or you think it was emotional?
I didn't know.
And you didn't care to ask her?
Didn't know. I did not, because the night before it had gotten real ugly when it first came out, and I no longer trusted what she was saying because
you already had checked the records and you was
I already
asking
had my evidence. I already knew
and you just wanted her to confess.
Correct. And I approached her several times that day, asking her in several different ways, and she denied every single time.
He was like,
and so,
somebody loves you. And I said, I love somebody.
Boy.
And he said, is it still me?
Bruh.
And I was like,
what?
What? So those are the ways that he.
And then every time you kept doing that, his kept triggering him.
And I took longer coming home on purpose.
Why?
Because
people want to die, don't they?
Because I had a feeling we get ready to talk about this guy. And I believe that I knew that he already knew.
Oh.
And so I'm really show him. I took my time. I cleaned up. And I didn't respond. I think it was some hours before I responded to him. And then he was like, you didn't even, you ain't even responded, where's she at? So, and the guy wasn't even in the picture. Like, he was like, you need to figure that out.
She almost got homeboy hemmed up.
You need to figure that out.
It's like, people be playing with people's lives.
Man,
I'm not playing with nobody.
I found out the address. I knew where it was.
But men just respond differently. It's like.
But that's the.
And you said you're doing it on
thing.
purpose. You said
I am. You know why?
Why?
Because you didn't hear me all of those times. You didn't hear me when I was sick and in the hospital, and I'm working myself to the bone, and I'm crying, and my labs are coming back with all of these different things going on with my health, and my dentist is pointing out indicators in my body that she notices that I'm stressed. I'm not eating. I'm not sleeping. So you didn't notice then. So if you want to make this about this, then
we're gonna make it about this.
I hate to say it. Okay, I'm gonna speak to the ladies.
Talk to the camera right there.
We always do it better, worse than they do. You guys have no idea how like vindictive, like a woman, like
we know. I've been on the receiving end of that.
We are done, and you don't hear it. It took me to a place I didn't even know that I could go to, and I hadn't been through some stuff with him, and I never even went there. So to be disregarded after all of the stuff that to be made like I'm feeling like you're not hearing me.
So now you're gonna feel me. Now you're gonna feel me since you don't
get
hear
ready
me.
to feel it. You know why? And I love you, and we here, but I'm just letting the people know he was an NFL player. Okay. Because he wanted to make it about that. So I said, okay, if we're gonna make it about this person, then he's, he played in the NFL. He had the means to literally just pick me up out of this and take me there. And make no mistake about it, everybody got their demons. Yeah. Everybody got their stuff. So I ain't looking at that like, oh, this is the land of glitter and it's gold and all that stuff. But men, that's the only thing that y'all hear.
Yeah.
Y'all don't hear anything else. So if your ego is what I have to hurt, then, because the hurt that I have endured, I'm not a get back type of person. I promise you I'm not. God can hurt you a whole lot worse than I can.
Facts.
So I'm not that type of person. But if I become so desperate that I am begging you, now, you know what? And maybe I use this guy. My girlfriend said to me, she said, are you going to tell him? And I said, I think I'm going to tell him. And so when I came home, I said, I'm going to tell him. This man pushing up on me, this,
Are you talking when it first happened?
Yeah. I was like, and I had it all in my mind. I was like, I'm going to tell him, because maybe that'll
break him
kind of like.
Yeah.
And when I walked in the house, he had a paper in his hand, and he was reciting and reciting and reciting and
The
memorizing.
stuff you had to learn for the.
And I sat on the bed, and I texted her, and I said, he doesn't even know. Like, he doesn't even notice. It's not going to make a difference. And even then, I still was like, I'm not going to pursue. Like, I'm not. It never was, he didn't push up and pursue. He could have, like, came real hard. And he didn't. Because men respect men. No matter how bad, you're like, this hurt me, right? I hurt him. And I just needed something to wake him up.
And so, did that wake you up?
Oh, it woke me up all right.
And so after you made that post, then
I was done.
You were done at that point. So you made that post. Y'all getting phone calls from friends and family saying, "What's going on? There's trouble in paradise. Clearly, it's over."
Yeah, I was done.
You saw the episode. Was that episode before he made that post or afterwards?
After. It was probably like exactly a week later, because this happened around his birthday in August, and then I saw the podcast on like the 6th or 7th of September.
And did you send it to him?
I sent it right to him.
And what made you decide to watch? Did you watch it first of all?
Yeah, I did. And I'm gonna tell you right now, David Burrs. Hopefully, he's watching this. That podcast changed my life.
Why?
The stuff he said in there were things that most of us men think about and deal with, but never speak on it,
right?
Or have a conversation on it, or you just learn how to get. And I'm not going to say all men are like this, but I know for me, I didn't have a father growing up. So a lot of the things that I learned on how to be a husband, how to be a man, I learned from TV.
Yes,
you know what I mean.
And
I
music.
don't. Yeah, absolutely. I don't idolize the man. I idolize the character. Cliff Huxtable was my dad.
Yep.
I watched Cosby Show every Thursday at 8 o'clock.
Me too.
And I even to this day, I bought the box set of all the seasons and everything. And that's what I tried to model myself like. And I modeled the father figure, but I didn't have a role model for the husband's figure.
Yep.
I want people. I want that. I want Erica. Hold on. I want that to resonate with people. We get so much reference. We hear about being a dad, and we try to be a dad out of the lack, because those that grew up without a father, we say, I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna be a good father.
Yep.
We don't never hear. I ain't never heard nobody ever tell me I'm gonna be a good husband. We don't never hear that. We just maybe somebody else here in their homes or whatever. I never heard my homeboys at school talking about I'm gonna be a better husband than my dad was to my mama. Why? Because he never was that to his mama. Yeah. He never saw the help me, Holy Spirit. He never saw a reference. He never saw a reference of what a husband is supposed to look like. And so, we saw the stuff. We saw the Cosby Show. We saw James on Good Time. Those are shows that I used to watch all the time. And I always just looked at him as being a father. I never even thought for the moment that, Flo, that's his wife. This is how you operate as a husband and wife. Yeah. This is how you operate from a Claire and Heathcliff. Like this is how you're supposed to operate as a husband. I kept saying, "Oh, these kids are lucky. They living good. Hey, daddy doing this for them. This. And so I thank you, Rahsaan, for actually giving reference to that. To giving reference to that. And if people could hear that and understand it, because most men can identify with exactly what you said, we don't get a chance to see the role model of a husband. Yeah. And then we take on this role with no job description. It's like somebody hiring you for a company, said, you've never even been in this position before. And they said, we are hiring you as XYZ. And you thrown in that, you like, okay, now what am I supposed to do?
Go figure it out.
Yeah, you start asking people now, so what did the last person do in this position? Like, what is this? You have no reference. You're going to make a whole lot of mistakes in that role. And you may end up getting fired. And that's what happens with a lot of husbands is we get fired.
Yeah.
85% of divorces are filed by women.
Wow.
Fired. And it's not because the women don't possess the staying power that our mothers and grandparents had. It's just that women nowadays say, I can do battle by myself. I'm not finna struggle. I'm going to try. But then a lot of y'all are chunking up deuces saying, nah.
Yeah. I said to him, when a man commits in marriage, he marries who literally is standing in front of him. And I believe now that when a woman commits to marriage, she marries the man that she sees him becoming. And that is what keeps us in it for so long, because we know that he's going to get there. He's going to get there. He's good. His heart is good. He's honest. He comes home and he's still going to get there. I can overlook, or I can forgive, and I can let go of this, this discrepancy, or this, thing that he did, because I know
he's going to be better.
One day
he's going to be better.
He's going to be better. And one of the worst things the church tells us, be a good wife. Be a good wife, right? And what that looks like is, be loving and forgiving and give grace and suffer. You should. How well you suffer will determine how
well
blessed, how well you are. And then your girlfriends, who might be in a really horrible situation, or she may be single, or she may be desiring. I'm almost there. We kind of encourage each other. Sadly, well, at least he does this. At least he does that. You got him. It ain't that bad. It ain't this. And it's not that it's bad. It's just that somewhere along the way, and this is what I had to take accountability for. We got married very young. We met at 15. We were married at 24. He was 23, turning 24. And I put it on the table. I am not going to go any further in this relationship as your girlfriend. So we can co-parent our daughter. You live there, I'm going to live here. Or if we're going to live here together, I got to be a wife, because I'm already doing wifely stuff.
There it is.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I got to prove to you that I'm worthy of marriage. So I'm doing the things. And I put that pressure on him. And I know a lot of women do that. I know for a fact that a lot of women, we aren't taught early on how to trust our voice, how to trust what we feel internally.
That's good.
Life has either violated us. Our parents have either, created some atmosphere where we can't trust the people around us. So in turn, we don't trust ourselves, and we push it down, even though that lady is saying, nope, just wait. If he don't come and say it, what makes you think you're worthy of waiting? But the fear of loss, right? If I don't marry him now, this might be the best I ever get. I might not ever find anybody, because we are taught and told so much that, one, women outnumber men. Two, the picking of that is left, where it's promoted that it's so bad, right? They say men are so bad. And I'm like, golly. So that fear is instilled in us, right? That what we have to choose, what's amongst what we have to choose, you got to grab a good one while you can, hold on to him. And the whole time internally, you saw something that he did that possibly could have been taught to him while he was a child, and you need to give him some space so he can learn and unlearn that behavior, so that then he won't repeat it and continue to repeat it. But we make excuses for it, and we say, it's okay. What's the thing? Yeah, that's mine. I'm gonna stick beside him. I'm gonna do that. And it doesn't mean that I'm throwing you away. It just means that I needed to learn how to trust me more. So I knew that he wasn't ready. But what did I do? And that's why I gave him an ultimatum. And I think that that's why a lot of women, why we are first to file, because we didn't get what it was that we set ourselves up. We thought, when reality said, sis, he might got daddy issues.
Yeah.
And what did he just say? That was a word.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to separate being a husband from being a father.
Boy.
Because I'm in the home.
Yeah.
And at least I'm here, right? So when we hear and we see these behaviors, he was staying out all night, overnight before we got married. I'm calling hospitals and police stations.
I was 23.
Where he at? He was 23.
23.
Yes. Yeah.
And so calling police
what
stations?
What if I would have waited? Listen, So I think women, we have to know that we're worthy of the wait. And if it's not him, why do we have to convince him to like, oh, I'm an orange, and he might be saying I like apples, but we'll be like, I'm gonna try to turn into an apple. I try to turn into an apple instead of waiting for the person that likes oranges, right? Or maybe his taste will evolve and then
change.
acquire to like
And then he come back
oranges
around and be like, you know what? I'm tired of these. Yeah, I'm tired of these apples.
I'm tired of these apples.
Yeah,
I want
need
orange.
the orange right now. Let me ask you this, because I don't want to just jump back. I don't want to jump off of this, Rahsaan. You said, so you listened to that episode, and then it spoke to you. What are some other things that you remember resonating with you, and then what did you do after hearing that information?
A couple things. Well, first thing that episode gave to me was the fact that being a husband is not fair.
Yes.
That was the first time I ever heard that statement before. A lot of the reservations that I had that I was dealing with during that time period was I'm doing X, I'm doing Y, I'm doing Z. How come I'm not receiving A, B, and C?
Right.
And so it was always based on what I was not getting. And so it wasn't until I heard Mr. Barrett say that I realized, wait a minute, this is not transactional. It's not, I plant here and I reap a harvest here. It's no, you serve. And it also led me to me asking her, can we try therapy? In which we did do marriage therapy.
You asked her.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We did that. I also realized that I had some things internal that I need to deal with. Being in the business world, I was always taught you don't have emotions. My grandmother, she's one that, instilled a lot of values in me growing up. I've never seen her cry until my grandfather died. And even then, it was only one big, and then she stopped, and that was it.
Wow.
Yep. So I didn't believe in emotions, and so as we were going through that, and I was hearing what David said, I said, you know what, maybe I need to try some therapy. I found the counselor. I started going to therapy on a weekly basis and everything.
Individual. Mm-hmm. And then y'all went couple.
And as a couple. Yep. Absolutely. Because I
Salute,
realized
King.
some things that I
say,
had to do
bro,
myself.
I'm so proud of you.
Appreciate it.
Because you went and said, I'm finna save my marriage.
Yeah. It was something that I watched. We watched this years ago, and it's why I said before, when a student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Yeah.
It's a movie called Fireproof.
Oh, yeah, that movie there almost took me out.
We've seen that movie. We've seen it.
Yeah.
And I saw surface level things.
Yeah.
It wasn't until this present season that we were in them when I saw it, and I saw the movie for the first time, it felt like.
Yep.
And the things that I was feeling, the main character was saying.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, is that really how I look? Is that how I sound? So on and so forth.
And it was similar to that. She started just seeing this other guy and all that. It's just, it's How did you reconcile that with your ego?
Okay, so I'm not going to say, because you said people put in the chat where we from at the end of the podcast. So it was a lot of days.
We can reveal it now, so it got enough time to guess. Where y'all from?
I'm gonna say these words: you, blue, to, you, and do. So we from Baltimore. We from Baltimore. So I had a lot of battles of handling this the way that we from back home will handle these things. I'm gonna leave it right there, just out of context. But then the therapy side, the relationship of God side, I had to get it right. And if not now, then when? So
if not now, then when?
Mm-hmm.
It woke him up.
It did.
He humbled himself. His birthday had come up, and I didn't want to buy him a birthday gift. But Holy Spirit was like, that ain't you. Get him a gift. So I said, you got to tell me what to get him. And the Holy Spirit said, get him a Bible.
Get him a Bible.
Get him a Bible.
Because if he can't just get a Bible app. The Holy Spirit said, get a Bible. What did that mean
We
to
had
you?
tons of Bibles in the house. I'm not foreign to Bible, but she got me the men's Bible. And I started reading it, okay? It's 66 books in the Bible. Let me just start with Genesis. Let me start from the beginning and just work my way down the line. And when I started reading it, I read these passages before, but they also gave context at the end of each chapter that spoke to men. And I'm telling you, man, I internalized it a whole different way.
Yeah, he was very humble. And I noticed immediately Like some years ago, we had gone through infidelity, hardcore, and I was hospitalized and everything, dealing with that. And God said something to me, and so, which is why I did not file for divorce. Fast forward to September, and one of my clients, she's 73 years old. Well, she's 74 now. And she said, what did God say the first time you could have legally left your marriage? And I told her, God told me to trust him, allow him to make a man out of him. I made him a husband first. I did. I made him a husband, and I asked God to bless it. He said, let me work with him. Give him to me. She said, has that happened yet? And I said, no. She said, and God does not lie. So you wait. My ears were turned off. I could no longer hear. I could no longer see. I wasn't hearing from God. I couldn't see I couldn't see anything. She said, God gives man the vision for the marriage, for the home, for the children, for everything. So now he is fashioning his ear to hear him. Yeah.
As you were reading that men's study Bible, what began to speak to you? What was the turning point?
Two things. The first one was a scripture we hear a lot of times, love your wife as Christ loved the church. And I realized at the moment when I read that, I heard it many a times. So when I read it, I realized I really don't know how Christ loved the church. So if I don't know how he loved the church, how can I love her in that same fashion? And so that's what brought me closer to wanting to have the desire to really understand Christianity, to really understand and have a personal relationship with God, because he has the second part, agape love. Heard the term many a times, but never really understanding the level of which that really meant.
So y'all were going in counseling. What was revealed in counseling? What were some of the turning points that was revealed? First of all, I want you to talk about your individual counseling. What was revealed to you, Rahsaan, in individual counseling?
I got a lot of stuff I was dealing with. A lot of pain, uncertainties of growing up, learned behaviors that I've never addressed before, that I've just buried down, but it's fashioned my actions over the last several decades. My relationship with my mom, my relationship with my two dads, because I found out the dad I thought I had up until age 17 was in and out of my life once or twice a year. I would see him, but he had a bad drug addiction. His last year of living, we started building a great relationship, and then he died when I was 17, a week before my birthday. I then found out when I was 21, I believe, that wasn't my real father. And then I met my real father. And so dealing with just, going through that, and it was just a lot of things.
Hold on.
Man.
So you built this, you felt like this man was in and out of your life. So you're dealing with this rejection from a man that you thought was your father, only to find out you started restoring that relationship the last year before he passed. Then 6 years later, found out that wasn't your father.
I have a tattoo on my arm that says, "Rest in peace, Dad," from somebody that wasn't my dad that I found out. And that's a whole story in its own right.
Yeah. So, there was a lot to unpack.
But it's one of those things where as you're going through life, you just keep putting one foot in front of the other. So you just bury the emotions. You don't ever bring it out. You don't ever talk about it. You just keep going. You live and you just fight another day. You just keep going. So therapy, they always say who you are today, you can tie it back to who you were as a child or incidents that happened when you were a child.
Facts.
And so that therapy started unlocking some of those childhood traumas that I was going through. My mom dealing with multiple men. Her telling me, when her and I first started dating, we were 15 years old, sophomores in high school. don't get tied down with just one person yet. Just go out there and experience more and things along those lines, and date other people. Those little seeds planted, over the course of time, it's going to foster some actions behind it.
Y'all met at 15 years old. God, this is just so good. I'm gonna let this interview be what it's gonna be. So, because we led this whole interview took a path that we did not prepare for. I did not know that Erica was entertaining some other guy. We talked about your stuff, and this is beautiful how we started from the end and we're going to work our way to the beginning. So we're going to go back all the way to the beginning. You met this girl at 15 years old. What was that relationship like? What attracted you to this queen? What attracted you to this king? What happened?
You're going to hear two different stories. I'm going to tell you that right now. You're going to hear her story, then you're going to hear the truth. Because it was two different ways of how this story really happened.
All right, what happened?
Story is the truth.
No, you missed the key element in that. I'm telling you, we
Go
met
ahead.
before.
I want her to tell her story, and then I want you to come back and tell the real story.
I'll wait.
Go ahead. What's the story, Erica?
So we were in marching band. Okay, I'm a dancer. He was a drummer. It was real cute. And we had a band parents meeting.
Rahsaan, do me a favor and try to pull that microphone up. Like turn that little notch right there. Well, right in the front, the silver one. Yeah, loosen it up and then raise it up. All right, you can continue.
We had band parents meeting, and the two of us, we ended up talking in the hallway. He had this bracelet. I thought he was cute. I'd say that all the time. Like, I thought he was cute. And he was showing me this bracelet that he had for his then girlfriend.
His then girlfriend. You changed all that, huh?
I did. But not intentionally. Okay, not intentionally. So he was showing me the bracelet. He wanted to see how it looked on my arms. He was, he want to see how it look on your arm and your wrist and everything. You like it? You think she'll like it? Da, 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 da. And we were talking. I don't even know what we were talking about. He don't know either. We don't know. And this was leading up to Thanksgiving break. And so the next day we came to school, and I know I was approached a couple times. You and Rahsaan, y'all go together. I heard y'all go together. And
because I forgot to get the bracelet back from her. She left with the bracelet. She had my bracelet for my girlfriend on her arm.
Listen, because that wasn't important.
She said she had your bracelet from your girlfriend.
It wasn't important. What was important? That bracelet wanted what? He ain't like her anyway. So he like me. And he knew that. That's why he let me keep it. So we came back, and what did we do? We met in the hall because we didn't have any classes together.
Let her tell her, because I was in the dumb people class. And she had all honors classes.
I was an honor student. So we didn't have classes together. We weren't in the same halls. He's this cute boy. And we met after school, and it was on some, did you tell people that I'm your girlfriend?
It's just automatic. Y'all it's just y'all relationship.
And then we literally was like, well, I guess we go together.
We go together then.
Life was so simple back then.
Wasn't it though?
It was so simple. I guess we go together. And we exchanged numbers, and Thanksgiving was the next day. And we didn't see each other again until that Monday.
And so did y'all go to homecoming together and prom and all that?
Both proms, homecomings, ring dances.
So you said both proms. So one of y'all was older than us?
No, just junior and senior.
No, junior and senior prom. So y'all was in the same grade level. Y'all went to junior and senior prom together. Yeah. When did y'all know that this is my person?
I knew right then and there.
We was 15.
I did.
15.
I told her, Latera, during that time period, if we break up, it's because you left me.
He used to say that. He used to say it a lot of times.
I ain't going nowhere.
He would say, if we broke up, it's because you don't, like you broke up with me.
Really?
He would say that.
And y'all went off to college and all that? Which one y'all went to college?
Kinda.
I went to Morgan. I stayed local.
I was going to Hampton. But I didn't want to go to school. I wanted to get my license. I wanted to make money. I knew this is what I wanted to do. So my mom transferred me. Yeah, so I transferred to Morgan. And then I did nothing. And I was like,
3 weeks she was there.
I did nothing.
3 weeks. 3 whole weeks.
I enrolled in cosmetology school and stayed the course, got my license. And yeah.
And somebody got pregnant.
Somebody got pregnant.
And what age was that?
19. And I turned 20. when I had her. And so I was finishing up cosmetology school and was pregnant, and I reluctantly, so this is going back to what I said, when my spirit is saying one thing, but I'm looking at him and I see his dreams, I see his hope, his future, his fear. And I was willing to do what he wanted to do.
Right.
So when he said that, well, can we have an abortion? Okay. I shared with my mom that I was pregnant, and she told me, you know, whatever I decide, she's going to support it, which was a lie, because I told her that we was getting an abortion. And she told his mother, and his mama came, and she just was like, you don't have to do it. She said this to me. She said, you do not have to do
She came where?
You were in the abortion clinic.
We were in the
Next in
clinic.
line.
Exactly.
We were waiting.
Next in line.
Paperwork filled out. They had an insurance, all of that. And we were waiting. And she came in. It was in January of 2001. She came running in the door, out of breath, panting. I felt her hands on my knees. She said, you do not have to do this. If you don't want to do this, you don't have to do this. So, because now I'm kind of all over the place. Women, again, I'm very passionate about what we carry in us, and it's important that we share, and we go back and we pull the younger ones and let them know, you know, give them the permission, even though we don't need permission, but give them the permission. I needed her. I needed an older woman to look at me and say, you don't have to do what you don't want to do. Because my heart, deceitful self, was saying, please him, you know, make him happy. Don't allow this baby to take away what it is that he wants. And so I internalized that. Even though I had her, I still internalized, okay, this me and my baby, you know, I'm gonna work, I'm gonna take care of her. It's not gonna cause any issue. I don't ever want him to be able to come back to me and say, you had her and I'm not where I want to be because of this, or I'm not how I want to be because I had to be a father. I never wanted that.
Did he ever make you feel like that?
Sometimes.
And so what happened? Y'all went to the doctor and y'all had some alarming news when doing one of the prenatal checkups. What happened?
We found out, number one, that she had prenatal.
They thought, yeah. So I had a placenta previa. My placenta had covered my uterus completely. They saw a hole in one of her ventricles in her heart, and they said that she would have Down syndrome.
Yep.
And you know, again, you want to laugh, you tell God your plans. Or he tried to yield to his, and I'm going to have this baby, and then we got hit with this. And thank God that it all turned out. She's a miracle.
Before they told you that, no, we're going to break that down. They told you she was going to be born with Down syndrome, and the best that she'll ever be able to accomplish in life is what?
Working at a supermarket, stocking cans.
Yep, stocking the shelves, stacking the cans.
Yep.
And what is your daughter doing right now?
At best. That girl's so special.
You're going to make me cry.
What is your daughter doing right now?
She is awaiting her graduation. She's going to complete with a bachelor's in
political science.
Lord.
From Howard
University. She is also going to be spending some time in South Africa this summer. She's passionate about education and empowering others, knowledge. She believes that without knowledge, we, you know, will perish. We don't have knowledge of resources and tools to be great. And so that's what she's doing. She thought at 11 she was going to be the first Black female president of the United States and was calculating tuition, by the way. At 11, she was like, by the time with inflation, if it keeps at this rate, this is how much it's going to be when I get to college. So she is an honors student. And she has a minor. She'll have a minor in sociology.
See, when you think about God's divine plan, God's purpose, it's like y'all were challenged at the very beginning to abort the baby. Y'all were even had doctors' recommendation, not that they were telling y'all to abort. They never told you to abort the child, did they? They just said, this is what it's going to look like. This is what your life going to look like if you give birth to this child. And this child is freaking brilliant.
She's amazing.
A walking
She's
miracle.
amazing. She broke up with her maybe boyfriend.
Maybe boyfriend.
Maybe.
Because she said the obligation of being a girlfriend is too much in her life right now because you got to get this degree. But if you want to take me out, I'll let you take me out. We'll date. We'll do those things. And she said, Mommy, this was on Friday. She said, I started to notice that he could take me out and spend a couple of $100 on a fancy dinner. He bought her some, YSL shoes and,
God, dog, what are the kids? Hold on. You said he did what?
he did, yeah. Baby
bought
girl
some
had some
YSL
designer.
shoes?
Yes.
What little kids be doing for a living?
Listen, it's legit. He has he's
Still live at
ambitious. No, he doesn't. He has his own place. He is a very ambitious young man. And she said there was a book, right? She's an avid reader. She loves literature. There's a book that I had been looking at, and every now and then I would mention it because she would remember, I got to get the book. She said, I realized that I was the one that was making the compromises. I was the one that was bending more. I was the one that was making the adjustments more, and it wasn't working out for the, it worked out more for him, but we still ended up. And I said, yes, man. I said, you chose you. She said, yeah. She said, because I told him a $15.99 book would have made my whole entire everything because it says that you heard me, that you're listening to me.
So she said the book meant more to her than the shoes.
Than the shoes. Yeah.
This little young girl picked that up.
Young girl picked this up. And so I told her, right? I told her, because in that moment, it didn't require me to just be her mother. It required me to be a woman talking to another young woman.
Yes.
And I told her, one, that I was proud of her for choosing you, because men are always going to choose themselves. So choose you.
We ain't gonna say always.
Always.
We ain't
Y'all
gonna
always choose.
ourselves.
Yes, y'all do.
No,
yes,
we don't.
Y'all do. Yes,
No, we
y'all
don't.
do. If listen, maybe not a married man, but a young man, if he has an option to go intern somewhere, he could go to Timbuktu. He's gonna be like, you know what, baby? I'll see you when I see you. We gonna go. A young woman gets that same opportunity and she's thinking, well, what if this is my future husband and I'm rolling the dice and then I won't ever get this chance again. I'll lose him. We have a great fear of loss because we aren't taught that, hey, you are worth.
But you also hear a lot of men say, no, I've been in that situation. A woman done took a promotion, left me too.
Okay.
As a young man,
both sides.
we
I
still,
believe it.
Look, I went to Morgan so I could stay local. I could have gone to Howard. I
didn't go to college at all because I had a daughter that was born my senior year in high school. I didn't go to college at all because I wanted to be present in my daughter's life.
Wow.
And the counselor was telling me, Lateris, you can still, 4 years, your kid ain't gonna really know you. I mean, you ain't gonna miss too much in 4 years or whatnot. And I was just like, I don't want to miss a day. I said, I don't want to miss a day. And I stayed and I struggled and I got me a little job. I was working at Bank One. I was making $7.50 an hour. Bank One ain't even around no more.
But you were present.
In a Mercer Chase. And me and my daughter, we thick as thieves.
Y'all were present.
But that's just what it is.
I stand corrected.
Amen.
And I'll say this. I gave her that advice through a filtered lens of what I had been experiencing with her dad.
Yep.
And so I definitely recognize that. But I did acknowledge that, I'm proud of her for seeing that
Her
perhaps
value.
if she starts a habit, then it's gonna continue.
Which is good.
Yeah.
All right, and then we're gonna go here. So we're gonna run through this little part because we ain't even meant to even deal with this as much as I thought I was gonna deal with. So you and your husband was kicking it strong. What year was it where y'all faced infidelity, which you threw out earlier in the conversation? She was like,
we ain't got to talk about that.
Oh, yeah, good. Yeah, that's right. We ain't got to talk about that.
Bring up old stuff. Don't bring that up.
Don't bring up old stuff. Listen, I published a book titled Trophy Wife. You can find it at ericagrier.com. Go read about it for yourself. They don't want to talk about about it, go read about it. It's really, really
No, we'll
good.
talk. We'll unpack it real
really,
quick
really good.
because the big stuff I thought was gonna be focused on that. It wasn't. So this is really good.
Because we don't live there no more. Remember I told you, like, the fact that we can laugh about it is a praise Jesus moment.
But I want to give reference to somebody that's dealing with it right now because they ain't finna laugh about it right now.
That part.
They about to leave their husband. They said this dude is just. So we gonna unpack this really quickly. What year was it of y'all marriage?
Year
2013. Well, yeah. Year
eight. Y'all been married going on 18 years now. 18 coming up in June 4th.
June 4th.
June 4th. So I remember that.
You got it.
June the 4th will mark y'all 18-year anniversary. Year 8. Y'all dealt with infidelity. Your husband had joined a multi-level marketing company. He was pursuing that. Rising star. You were being a hairstylist at the time, but in that business, it's best to have husband and wife teams that looks real good for the optics. Y'all are a joined force. Y'all are able to do more. You bring this young lady onto the team, into your downline. What happened? See how quick I just went?
You did.
That boy a professional over here.
Let me add, I had a newborn.
Oh, you had a newborn.
I had a newborn.
So this child, what, number 2?
Number 4.
Yeah.
So y'all kids fast.
This is number 4.
4 kids in 8 years.
We had 4
12,
kids.
and then 10. Yeah.
We had 4 kids in 12 years because she was turning 4.
Okay.
Our oldest turned 4 when we got married. But I had a newborn, and I first suspected something because when she was born, he called for my mom to come. We were living in Atlanta at the time, and he had to go out of town. And so my mother came and brought us home because he had traveled, because he had to go help her with her business. And so that was...
Which is true. It was true. It's like a show. It was true. At that moment, I was definitely helping with the business.
How she looking?
I mean, because both 2 things can be true.
2 things can be
2
true.
things can be true.
So what was those 2 things?
2 things that
He
they
was helping with the business
started
or what?
something. He was helping her with the business, and he was helping him with herself. They were helping each other. It's helping each other.
And so you were in this 1-year affair, Rahsaan. What made you violate your marriage?
Just, I guess, with ego, mostly. Being in a high position with the company, a lot of edification, and I guess you can say like a star right, if you that makes sense. And just having somebody there that was also doing what you were doing, that was understanding the struggles and in the trenches with you. It brought about a commonality there that sparked something.
But your wife was, she had joined that at that point. So
at that point, she didn't.
She didn't?
Mm-mm. So at that point,
but I thought she was the one that brought her in. So you brought her into it, but you wasn't there?
I was recruiting.
You was recruiting on his behalf?
I was working, yeah. So
you hadn't joined the team yet.
The caveat of it is I may not have been doing every meeting with him, but I was very supportive in the ways that I could be acquiring customers. I had 3 children at the time to take care of. And so she, from what I hear and have heard, just having someone there all of the time to build with them.
That's why I was very careful. I don't like people using the terminology, this is my work husband, my work wife.
Right.
I said, don't ever use that title on nobody other than your wife or your husband. Do not minimize, do not water down that title. That is an earned position. That is an anointed position. That is a called position. Don't just say, that's my work husband. That is not, that's your coworker. Call it what it is. Co-worker. Use that term, co-worker. That is not your wife by no stretch of the imagination, just because y'all work together. So I do want to put that out there. So you're working with this woman that's in your downline. Y'all helping to build the business. What made it cross over from a professional relationship to an intimate one?
Just one long night. One long night, wrong place, wrong time.
And at that time, you have never cheated on your wife at this point?
Not my wife, no. Not my wife. Not my wife. Not my wife.
So you cheated on when she was your girlfriend?
We the past of the past.
Again.
Not my wife.
So remember what I said earlier, right? How accepting, because some things will say, well, this trump that. Well, you gave me these two things, but I'm going to put the value over here because at least.
At least.
At least.
Hot in here? Is it just me?
It's getting a little hot. I think the light is, we've been sitting here for a minute. We've been sitting here for a minute. And so at that time you cheated on Erica when y'all was dating, and then now y'all get married, and then you step outside of the marriage with this lady that's on your team, and then this affair happens throughout a year. Did you ever suspect anything within that year?
I did. I suspected a lot. She would do things in my presence.
In your presence?
In my presence.
Like what?
Like come and make a statement, right, about power couples and.
What, she would say that they were a power couple?
No. It would just be kind of like this is, if we saw somebody else, see, that's why they're winning, because, this is a power couple. And
you feel like she was taking a dig on you?
Yeah, she was. Everywhere I would be, she would just come and position herself and would say things around others about how well they work together, the type of woman, right? Because it was this movement of build women leaders, right? Women do well in these spaces, right? So I think that gave her a chip on her shoulder as well, to kind of like, okay, well, I'm going to be one of those. And so she definitely would do things. She would sit behind me. She would, and then I started hearing things, or pictures, right? Pictures would pop up. So let's say there was an event, a party or something like that, and she would just so happen to be like right there near him in the picture. And the picture just said like, this is something
more than just this situation. Yeah. Was there ever a point where you felt like you was going to leave your wife for this woman?
No.
And this other woman was what? What was her marital status?
Huh? She was married. She still is, but it was told to me. Someone came to me and said, you need to get her far away because she's talking about the two of them being like.
Did you ever tell her that, Rahsaan?
That I was going to leave her?
Yeah.
No.
Never said that? Never. You let her know her place. All she was is just a placeholder.
It was understanding.
And he said it's understanding.
Understanding. From what I heard on the street, again, Baltimore is small. Everybody kind of knows somebody. We got about a 1 to 2 degree of separation, right? So from what I was told was just how she viewed him. She had lost respect for her husband, and just in the comparison of the two, this was, destined or something,
right?
So.
And so when you was hearing that, you would bring it to him. Of course, he would deny it. And then how did you find out?
Well, I
had a flashback.
Man,
I used to I was hospitalized a couple times, so I would lose a lot of blood, and I had to have blood transfusions and everything. So that year really triggered like a lot of that for me. So I had a couple hospital stays, and when the year turned, I decided to show my face. I'm going to attend an event with him, and this woman came up to me, and she started prophesying. Like, she said it. She said, there is, and this might be deep for some of your viewers, but I'm just, because some people.
My view is deep.
All right. So she came up to me, and I know her. Okay. I know her, and I know her faith. She came up and she said, there's a witch, and she has attached herself to your husband, and you need to pray and anoint your pillows and everything that touches him, do these things. And so I confronted him about it, and he denied it, and it triggered this bleeding. So I was in the hospital again. I had a blood transfusion. I'm bleeding, and they sent me home, and they scheduled a surgery because they found out what was what. So I'm in the process of going to the bathroom, and the phone lights up, and early on I had said, I'm not going to snoop, I'm not going to look, I'm not going to do anything, but God, whatever I need to know, you'll show me the way that I need to know.
Right.
So the phone lit up and it lit up again. And iPhone, just tell your business because it just keeps on. So I went to silence it, and when I did it, the picture popped up, and it was all that I needed to know.
And you woke him up.
I woke him up.
And what did you feel, Rahsaan?
Scared. I was scared, man. Fearful for my life. In context, too, though, the affair was over.
Yeah.
We were done.
It was done by how long?
Probably about a couple months, I would say. And it was a text that came through, a conversation that was started of reminiscing, and a picture came through, and I fell asleep.
You could have got away with it,
man.
Until she's
God, you wait until after I'm done.
God,
you could have said this
what's
couple
done
months
in
ago,
the dark
man.
will come to the light.
In the dark.
Will come to the light.
She woke me up. I look up, and my phone is in her hand. Only thing I could say was Jesus.
Jesus.
So
Thank
go
God
to
for
meet you.
Jesus.
That's it. That was
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the scariest moment of my life.
And then did you confess?
Yeah, I did.
You just let it all out right then.
I did, because and this is something a lot of men don't talk about, is it takes a lot to cheat. I mean,
Totally.
the mental calculations you have to do, the timing of schedules and everything, the planning, the strategic movement, the remembering of the stories that you told, like, it takes a lot.
Yes.
And it was a lot that was weighing on me.
Yeah.
So it was, let me just go ahead and clear my conscience at this point and release it all.
You did that night.
Mm-hmm.
What did you feel when you heard that?
Devastation.
But it wasn't out the blue because you already suspected it up to that point.
It still was a small part of me that said he wouldn't do that. Because I had asked him.
Right. You asked.
Don't embarrass me is what I've said sometimes. Don't embarrass me. Don't have me out here, and here I am embarrassed.
How did y'all rebuild from that moment?
Ooh.
Because it's good that you just came out front, which expedites the healing. Because as long as you keep lying about it, then you've been lying about it for the next 6 months. Yeah. Then you just delayed your healing. Now she got to say, you could sit here and lie to me after you cheated on me for another 6 months. Yeah. So for you to go ahead and just spill it out, which I recommend everybody do, just put it out there and say, hey, we're going to have to either rebuild or it's over at this point.
And further from that, I even confessed to things that were not known.
That's good.
That was not even related to that
That's
particular
good.
instance.
Yeah,
to clear it all.
That's good.
But for us to rebuild,
we had to
it took a
rebuild
lot.
everything.
It took a lot.
New house,
Yeah.
because she had been there. Not for that, but we would have team events.
So you said,
and
I don't
stuff.
want nothing to remind me
I
of
don't
this.
want nothing to remind.
Changed the house, changed the cars, had to change my clothes, like get a new
You said change
wardrobe.
the cars.
Yeah. I had to get rid of my motorcycle. I ride bikes. I had to get rid of my motorcycle because she had been in my motorcycle.
I looked at it. I went in the garage and I just looked at it and I said, because I know him. He liked to show off. I said, you rode her on this bike, didn't you? And he said, yeah. I said,
Get rid of it.
it's got to go. Because what isn't talked about, because we hear about it, right? And we hear about it so much that we've accepted, right? We say, oh, most men cheat. Oh, it ain't nothing new. She ain't going through nothing that nobody been through. Nobody talks about the rage, right?
Yes.
The bitterness, the resentment, if you don't really deal with it, because it came back some last year, right? Because I felt like, I thought we had gotten through it. I wrote a book about it, about my healing, and I'm teaching others. And here I am, triggered, and now I'm right back in my...
Came back 9 years later.
Real?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Was any of that real? We don't talk about the bitterness because of sacrifices that we've made so that our spouse can be where they are, doing what they're doing, and this is what you do with it. Like so it's a lot of things. I had moments where I was, researching. I was going to pull up. I'm going to go to where they at, and I'm going to do this. But God intervened, and he had someone call me while I'm trying to make a phone call. And so I knew then that whatever it is that he put in us to allow us to meet so early, come together so early, the commitment that we made to each other ignorantly. We didn't know what we were going into. We had no idea that we were saying I do to all of these other things.
Yeah.
And so knowing that, learning that, realizing that, then, okay, we can fight for it. I can give us a chance now. We have a further awareness, and we couldn't deny that, we are made for each other.
You came up with the title Trophy Wife because of something that she said to you. What did she say to you?
She said, "You're just a trophy wife."
To
and
you
I
on the
felt
phone.
To me on the phone. And what that did, I took the bait. I took it. And I felt like now I have to prove to you that I'm more than that. Now I have to prove to you that I'm this accomplished woman. I'm a boss, right?
Yeah.
Don't tell me I'm just a wife. And God dealt with me on that because when I was looking for a title, he had given me his blessing to share my healing journey.
Good.
Right? Because we understood that we need to help each other heal. Right? And so while I was praying about the title for the book, the Holy Spirit I heard her voice. You're just a trophy wife. And the Holy Spirit said, it's trophy wife. Because when a man obtains a wife, he obtains favor, right? It's a gift. It's an honor.
Yeah.
God said trophy. Now I want you to study how trophies are made. So my book goes through the stages. The first one is molding, because we all were molded, right? One, biblically, right?
Yeah.
He made us in his likeness and image,
Yeah.
right? But also in our mold comes experiences that we may have had as a child, or things that God allowed that were to deposit something that we might need, when we become adults. And so that's our core. That's who we are. And then refining is those unforeseen, willing and unwilling, the things that we did and the things people did to us, and all of that refining, right? When gold is purified at its most purest form, it goes through the highest temperatures to take all of the impurities and toxins and stuff out of it, right? And so sometimes it's harsh. Sometimes when we think it is Satan, it's God. That's pruning and polishing and rubbing and pushing some things out of us. And so the refining stage of that, and then the polishing, we're gonna shine it up. And so that's when people might look at you and they say, you look familiar, right? And never seen you before in their life, but the light in you aligns with the light that they experience when reading the word of God, because you're fruit, right? And so they see that you're shining, you're polished. And then we have the molding, the refining, the polishing, and then the mounting part, because the foundation of it is what matters. And so as a wife, God allowed me to take what was meant to demean and make me question my value as his wife. I'm honored to be his wife.
Good.
I am proud to be his wife because God trusts me with him.
That's good.
And so trophy, yes, because he's the one that the envelope, and the winner is Rahsaan and Grier.
That's amazing. Man, we finna wrap this up, but I do want to just say this real quick. You on the way picking y'all up driving here from picking y'all up from the airport, you made mention about how oftentimes people are celebrating divorce and that hits you on a different level. Touch on that real briefly, what you said about seeing women on social media, seeing your friends glamorize divorce. Speak on that real quick.
So in some circumstances, divorce is necessary.
Facts.
And there is a freedom, there's a deliverance from that circumstance. And then some of them, we pursue happiness over holiness, and we don't know what the purpose of marriage truly is. And I'm not by any means saying suffer, and that's a badge of honor. But I have seen and have heard from a lot of women who have regret in their divorce. They look back and they say, my ex-husband asked if he could have a second chance, or if he could work on some things, because he had a revelation like Rahsaan had. And they were just so done. They were so tired. There was no more fight, but they wish that they would have, because some of them are lonely. We need each other, right? We need each other. Women need men. Men need women. There's power in the partnership. And so it's glamorized now, where I think that the accountability is lost. It's all on the man. It's his fault. So I'm leaving him. I told you the lady had the picture that said, I would wish you the best, but you had it already. Yeah. And it was kind of like, dang, that made me feel some type of way, because
And she posted
Did
this
you
on
give
social
his
media.
best? Did you give your best?
Yeah.
Did you like, was it really? Because what it is it's not reciprocal.
Yeah.
I'm in covenant with God, and God is going to take care of me. So I'm going to give, and I'm going to serve, and I'm going to honor, because it is with God. God is going to take care of him in order for him to come and do it. So we can either have more patience, we lack trust. You know, I've done it. I've gotten tired. And so it's alarming to me how women, you know, it's
Glamorized.
I'm gonna have a
and
party,
celebrated.
you know, I'm
Yeah.
gonna do this. Like, there's an attack on marriage and we can't see it. All we see is I want to be happy, and that's not what marriage is about.
That's good.
Happiness is internal. It's
Real quickly, Rahsaan, I want you to look to that camera. You said that episode that I did with David Burr spoke to the depths of your soul as a man. God is about to use you to do the same thing for another man.
Yeah.
I want you to look to that camera, and I want you to talk to a brother. Whatever God allows you to say in that moment, I want you to speak to the kings out here watching the podcast.
Brothers, you're not alone. We all feel the same thing. We all deal with the same insecurities, the same devils, the same struggles. Every man's battle is the same. There are a lot of resources that are there for women that are not there for us. We have to be there for one another. We have to intentionally dig. We have to intentionally research. We have to intentionally seek and find the information that we need in order to be not just good fathers, but good husbands and good spouses as well. But most importantly, as we're finding that information and getting those revelations, it's our duty to share that with our fellow brothers as well. We don't all have those same opportunities, but when we do find that information, we have to share it with one another so we can all be better and make our wives happier.
Erica, talk to the queens.
ooh, that was powerful. Your value does not begin or end as a wife. Before God introduced you to that man, he formed you, he knew you, he spoke your name and your purpose into existence. And so anytime you feel like you are dying of self in order to be in the marriage, God didn't tell us to do that. He called the husbands to love his wives as Christ loved the church, and Christ died for the church, not the other way around. And so I'm not going to say choose you first. I used to say pray about it all, give it to God. But just trust what God told you. Seek him. Trust his word. Believe in yourself. And fight like hell for your marriage. It is okay to just stand and be silent. And sometimes just wait so that God will give him what it is that he needs to hear. It doesn't have to come from you all of the time. Just work on you and trust in the Lord. Yeah.
Amen. I want to rephrase that. You said fight like hell. I want to say fight hell.
Fight hell.
There you go.
Fight hell
That
for your
part.
marriage.
Amen.
Fight hell for your
hell.
marriage. I don't think that you guys were put on this episode just by happenstance. It's by divine assignment. As we celebrated our 3-year anniversary, April the 15th is last Saturday. God spoke to me that this year, going from year 3 to 4, is about restoration. And you guys are the epitome of restoration. Y'all can laugh at the face of evil. Y'all can sit back and reminisce about infidelity and not be triggered. I was looking at my boy Rahsaan, was like, is he gonna get mad, about her talking about this dude? And he gave you the freedom to talk about it. He gave you the freedom to write a book about his indiscretions. This is where God is glorified. This is where God is glorified. The Bible says that people overcome by the word of our testimony and by the blood of the Lamb. If there's no testimony, how can people even overcome? And so I salute y'all. Y'all, God's gonna do something so amazing. Watch our DMs blow up from people saying, me and my husband going through the same thing, me and my wife. Y'all are gonna start building a community around this thing that God has brought y'all from. Y'all are about to celebrate 18 years. 18 years of holy matrimony. Sometimes we say, how can it be so holy if there's some infidelity or whatever? It's holy because God is in it.
That's right.
It's holy because God is in it. And we take that for granted too often, that God is in it. And we think that we say these vows for better, for worse, for richer, for poor, through sickness, and all this stuff. You done dealt with sickness and in health. Y'all done for richer, for poor. Y'all dealt with it all. And God says, Yes, and it's still holy.
Still
That's what's so beautiful about it. So listen, I salute y'all. I thank y'all so much. Make sure they can pick up, you said they can pick up your book from what's the website again?
Yes, ericagrier.com.
ericagrier.com. Man, I could talk to y'all all day. I don't know how long this episode is. Probably about an hour and 45 minutes. Rihanna done stood up about twice already. She said, I got a place to go, Terry.
We got stuff to do.
But God bless y'all, but I got to go. So listen, shout out to Rihanna Mac in the building. But listen, thank y'all so much for sharing your heart. Thank y'all for being bold enough and defiant enough to come to a singles event and say, hey, listen, I got to just show up and just say thank you. Because that's what it's all about. And y'all blessed my heart so much, and y'all spoke to the purpose of the Dear Future Wifey podcast. So again, as I said in Atlanta, it's an honor to have y'all. And I didn't even know what we was going to talk about, how deep it was going to be, but it is sincerely an honor to have y'all on the Dear Future Wifey podcast. God bless y'all. I speak blessings over your kids and over your marriage. Y'all take care. Y'all give it up for the Griers, y'all.
Thank you.
Ladarian, thrusted suddenly into Child Protective Services in 2015. My nephew, Black, a boy. The likelihood of being adopted outside of kinship, slim to none. Armani, 16 years old, Black, a boy, with 5 years in the foster care system before I even knew his name. The likelihood of ever being adopted, yep, you guessed it, slim to none. While Ladarian and Armani were trying to survive and barely thrive in an overpopulated and underfunded foster care system, I was living my own life, doing well professionally. Having been a single father with a daughter who at that point was doing well in college, it was my time to live my life, right? Wrong. I felt unsettled, tireless, agitated. There are just too many of our Black children stuck in ambiguity and in the limbo of the foster care system. In 2017, I legally adopted my nephew, Ladarian. Fast forward to 2019, I had no ties to this other young king, but I felt God instructed me to adopt him also, and I obeyed. Starting over with parenting should have been enough, right? Working with various foster care and adoption agencies to help bring awareness to the countless young Black kings in the foster care system should have decreased my agitation, right? Joining the board of directors of Advantage Adoption, an organization that helps find permanent adoptive homes for children in foster care, should have led to some type of resolve, right? No, not at all. None of it felt like I had done enough. I now realize that every one of those experiences was laying the fundamental foundation for my life's mission, Kingdom Royale. Kingdom Royale will be a luxury, state-of-the-art home for foster boys. Our first location will be in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. We will utilize the whole person approach that instills identity, empowers them to advocate for themselves, and enlightens them regarding new perspectives and limitless options that they thought were impossible. Though the young kings will attend the local public schools that are in proximity to Kingdom Royale, our at-home curriculum will broaden their worldview through participating in the arts, attending various cultural events, learning about and engaging in multifaceted discussions about current events and even relevant historical context, introducing them to gardening and landscaping and even caring for our animals on our farm and on-site stables. We just launched our Startup Capital campaign with the goal of raising $2.8 million. Now, why $2.8 million? Well, in 2017, I created a web series in which I performed random acts of kindness for targeting the homeless community. One of the most notable successes was that one of the videos went viral, garnering 28 million views. However, one of my biggest regrets is that I didn't raise a single dollar to help in implementing a more sustainable plan for the homeless community. So throughout the years, with much remorse, I reflected on not maximizing that moment. I knew if at that time, just 10% of the viewers donated $1, we would have raised at least $2.8 million that could have really established long-term support for the homeless community, or at least started a long-term initiative to do so. This is my do-over. This is our new beginning. Together, we can attack this at the root by specifically helping our homeless Black boys who are already disproportionately represented in the American foster care system. I'm Rahsaan Whitfield. I've been nominated for 3 regional Emmys documenting my work with the homeless as well as my personal adoption journey. Despite those accolades, The greatest award for me is truly providing the infrastructure for a transformed life. Visit kingdomroyale.com for more details. Crown a king and make a donation today.
This episode touched me so much because it just gave a lot of validation for what God, the assignment that God has me on for the Dear Future Wifey podcast. It's imperative that we treat each other with respect, that we love each other, that we advocate on behalf of the people that God has placed in our lives, the people that God has given us responsibility over, and especially those people that God has given us the wherewithal to establish covenant with, our purpose partners. That we gotta love each other properly. We gotta show each other reciprocal love. And so to have the Griers on the podcast today during this season, during this moment of life, just encourages me so much to continue with the journey. Restoration. That's what God's spoken to my heart on the way of picking them up, restoration. And so I speak restoration over the lives of every one of you that's watching this podcast, that's listening to it on streaming platforms, restoration. May God restore your soul. May God restore your mind. May God restore your heart. May God restore you. May God restore your finances. Some of you may be going through bankruptcy or having filed bankruptcy or just trying to change the trajectory of your life financially, have experienced hard times all your life. Well, I speak a peace be still over your finances. A peace be still. Peace be still. Peace be still. That God just brings a calm spirit where you're getting frantic, wondering how you're going to keep the bills paid, wondering if you're going to end up homeless again. Yeah, I'm talking to you. You have a fear that you'll end up becoming homeless again. I'm talking to you. That means God is speaking directly to somebody right now. And I pray right now that your faith fail not. I pray right now that God continues to restore your soul, restore your mind, give you creativity, give you favor. God didn't put you on this earth to just work to live. He wants you to experience life and life more abundantly. Peace, be still. As y'all know, this is my favorite part of the podcast where I speak to my future wifey. Dear future wifey, as I sit down to write this letter to you, I am filled with so many emotions: love, excitement, anticipation. The idea of spending the rest of my life with you is something that brings me immense joy. But I know that our journey as a couple will not always be easy. There will be challenges, obstacles, and bumps in the road along the way. No matter what comes our way, I am committed to overcoming every obstacle presented to us. I believe that with faith, perseverance, and a deep love for each other, we can conquer anything that life throws our way. There will be times when we disagree, times when we face hardships, and probably times when we feel like giving up. We have the power to overcome these moments by leaning on each other, our shared values, and our commitment to Christ. I promise to always be there for you, to support you, and to lift you up when you feel down. I promise to listen to your needs, to be honest with you, and to communicate openly and respectfully. I promise to never take our relationship for granted and to always work hard to maintain a strong and healthy connection. No matter what obstacles we may face, we can overcome them with a fierce determination to build a beautiful future together. Your future hubby.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Dear Future Wifey podcast. Remember, be lit, live intentionally and transparently, and don't stop loving.
Make sure to subscribe to our Dear Future Wifey YouTube channel. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher. We welcome your support. Simply share our podcast with your friends and family.